Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel Jammeh si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta to dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axel Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
On Monday, the 3rd of November, 2025, it's 7 minutes past 9 o'clock in the morning here in the Gambia. Thanks for staying with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. My next guest is no stranger to the national stage, a seasoned legal mind, a fearless advocate for justice, and a man who stood at the intersection of law, truth, and politics. Essa Faal joins me this morning on Coffee Time. From his pivotal role as lead counsel at the TRRC, where he helped unearth the truths of our nation's past, to his bold foray into politics as a presidential aspirant and leader of the APP Sobeya movement, Essa has consistently challenged the status quo and called for a new era of accountability and reform. This morning he joins us to unpack some of the most pressing issues facing the Gambia, from the recently tabled 2026 draft budget and the institutional, or rather the controversial removal of Auditor General Maud Cisse, to the state of corruption, institutional independence, and the future of our. I hope this is a conversation about power, principle, and the path forward. Essa Faal, welcome back to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, old Saints boy.
Thank you, my brother.
We always
all the way.
Absolutely, we always remind our so-called GHS
Yes.
rivals.
Indeed.
They can't rival us.
They always come third.
Good to have you back in the Coffee Time studio.
Thank you, Peter, for having me. Kontaan naa pour ñëw ci studio bi tey pour waxtaan ak Peter ci mbir yi nga xam ne wax dëgg neex yàlla mooy lëmbe réew mi. Mbir yi nga xam ne moom la problème si nga xam ne moom la réew mi jànkuwanteel ñu toog waxtaan see askan wi ñu xam lii xew ci réew mi lan la ba pare su ko defee ñoom ñu mun a form seen opinions as to nguur giñ am ban façon ngi nguur la su ko defee 2026 jot si na su ko defee naxe geek selmalante geek rambaaj geek affaire yooyu yëpp nit ñi muñ koo xàmmee ràññee ko su ko defee ñu xam ñana mérito seen karta ñu sànnil ñooñu karta ndax réew mi dem kanam baadi ngolu ntelem Essa Faal mbe Peter Gomez le studio to bi pour que kacha mi yalonko akumbayata bake Gambia la problème o ka bondi ñoto wala tinna mbe sirin jang bi today.
How important is this to speak the nation's languages? Because we are not one of those countries that are blessed with
a lingua franca.
Exactly. Or a designated indigenous language as national language.
Well, it is important. The whole essence of languages is to be able to communicate with one another, such that when you say things, you could be heard by the other person, and vice versa, because there is no communication if people can't understand each other. So unfortunately in Gambia, we do not have a designated lingua franca or an effective lingua franca as such. If you come to the urban area, Wolof is spoken more. If you go to some parts of the rural area, Mandinka is spoken more. In other parts, Jola would be spoken more. Others, Fula and Sarahule in other places. So therefore, it is important for us to be able to speak to one another and know the more languages one is able to speak, the more that person is more effectively able to communicate with others. I wish I could speak more Gambian languages.
I'll teach you Manjago whenever you're ready.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to understand a bit of Manjago because I lived with, in Bundung, I lived with Pascal, Minkailu, you know, I'm sure the name would come pretty soon. So we used to have a port, you know, port like a door in between, in between our homes. So
ports were very popular in Banjul, especially Charles Street.
That's right. So for us at Bundung, when I lived there, because my father was studying in Ghana at the time, you know, so Yadikon, you know, my sister Yadikon. So we're
first cousins.
You see, Gambia is so close. Yeah. We so mixed.
Yadikon's dad is my mother's elder brother. Same mom, same dad.
I call Yadikon my sister. You know, because we grew up regarding each other as brother and sister. Pascal, my brother, Minkailu, you know, so, or Dominguinho, for instance.
Dominguinho, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, but this is Gambia.
He named the son after me.
Mashallah, that's great. So we are all one and the same people.
True.
So that's why it is important that we are able to communicate with each other, relate with each other, and that is what would foster our cohesiveness. That is what will bring about Gambian unity. And that is one of the fundamental reasons why I am running for president.
We're going to talk about the budget. We're going to talk about corruption. We're going to talk about the former Auditor General. Some would say, well, the still Auditor General trying to, you know, reclaim his position. And, of course, politics in general. Starting with the budget.
The budget is a very interesting document, but what stands out really is the debt repayment. I have consistently said the debt
that now stands at $13.4 billion.
Out of a budget of a bit less than 60 billion.
I just call it 60.
60 billion.
In journalism, we round it to the next.
That's right.
So 59.3 billion for us.
Yes.
In the journalism sphere is 60 billion.
That's right. Mathematically, it's not correct. Or for accountants and lawyers.
No, that's why I clarified.
But you are absolutely right. It is almost 60 billion. So for a budget of that size, 13 billion goes to debt repayment. Is the single highest allocation. That shows that we are borrowing, we are digging graves for ourselves through debt. It's now hanging over our shoulders or over our necks as the sword of Damocles. The debt is too much. And because the debt is too much, we have to make certain sacrifices in order to pay the debt. So it's a question of opportunity cost. One thing or another. Which do you prefer? So when we borrow, when we take debt, we must always remember that we would have to pay. And when we repay, it would have to be at the expense of something. You know, when I told people that do you own gena leka, do telling gen di leka, some people just trivialized it. But look, because this government believes that once you invest in infrastructure, you win elections. But they don't realize that, well, if you borrow to invest in infrastructure, you would have to repay that money. And that would be at the expense of something. And it would have ramifications in other parts of the economy. Currency, the exchange rate. Would it help it or would it hurt it? The repayments, what would be at the expense of what? Is it investments in healthcare or investments in education? Well, we have seen the choices that the Barrow government has made. And it's shocking.
Take us through some of those shocking choices.
Yes, parce que mbokk yi li ma doon wax rek mooy ne so bor soo ko jëlee danga koo fay de te borom kër bu jël bor boo xam ne antadu ko kera su waxtu fay jotee sa coono yëpp feeñ fi mu nekk nag feeñ na bor yiñ jël bari naa bari goo xam ne fi mu nekk 13 billion lañ war a fay at bii ñëw nii ci bor.
waaw acca ñu leeral rek ne 13 billion boobu yëpp du bor boo xam ne nguuri Barrow bi moo ko leb. waaye xam nga nguur moom luy continuer la. waaw am na loo ci xam ne ëppa doole gi yëpp Yaya Jammeh la ñu ne sax. affaire gi dem naa dem gannaaw be
déet nay leer.
waaw
Yaya Jammeh lépp na waaye li Yaya Jammeh lépp ak li Jawara lépp soo ko boolee li Barrow lépp moo ko ëppa. When Yaya Jammeh left, I can't remember the actual figures, but I think our debt was about 70 billion. Now our debt is about 120 billion. Yes, I think so. I think, yes, it's about 120 billion. That's what I can't remember the figures exactly, precisely now, but it should be about that. So, bor bi fim ega, nguri Barrow moko fa egal. waaye fi mu ne nañ seet nguuri Barrow lan la war a fay ñu ngi war a fay 13 billion last time bi last lifin last budget foog naa suñ liñ fay was about 2.4 billion. This year it's 13 billion. And the debt interest that we are going to pay, no, last time it was 11 billion. This year is 13. The interest on this debt, the last time was 6 billion, now it's 7 billion, rounded up. But lima buga wone moy ne bor biñ jël problème bim ñu indil moy ne we have to cut in vital sectors, allocations to vital sectors in order to pay the debt.
Sectors like?
Health. Last time, the investments in health was 4.9 billion, almost 5 billion. In this budget, it is 3.1 billion. Lan mota, we have to pay the debt. And halis bi dafa am fum joge. Can you imagine, Peter? What a choice we have to make. Now we have to pay the price. We have to cut allocations to healthcare in order to fund the debt we have taken. That is a national tragedy. Moo tax ma ne the choices we make are very, very important. Xale yu ndaw yi tey soo leen waxee ne government, agriculture is the most important, is the second most important, I would say, sector in our economy.
Behind which sector? Which is the most important?
I'll say maybe healthcare. But you put these three on the same pedestal pretty much. Health, education, and agriculture. You put them on the same pedestal. I would do that. Excuse me. According to last year figures, I think investments in agriculture was about 6 billion. And if I'm not mistaken. And this year is 1.77 billion.
Whoa, that's a drastic drop.
But youth and sports, it's not so drastic, but it just shows the priorities of this government. The last time it was 155. This time it is 147. So it's a drop.
Less money also for youth and sports.
What they allocated for youth and sports was barely enough to make a significant impact on youth. Now they have to cut it. To add insult to injury, now they have to cut it simply because we have borrowed too much. And look at Office of the President.
What about Office of the President?
The area that I complained about the most. Mooy ne xaalis bi ñoo yóbbu Office of the President dafa daw yaram. It's as if ne ñi amuñ yërmande ci nit ñi. You take all that money to President's office for what? The last time it was 1 billion and about 85 million. It was 1 billion and 87 million. I think they reduced it to about 1 billion and something million. I am saying that money is too much for Office of the President. It's just way too much.
Okay, that was
especially for a president who earns a whopping $500,000 net of everything else, free of everything else. He does not pay taxes. He does not pay rent. He does not pay for his food. He does not pay for his medical. He does not pay for his travel. He basically does not pay for anything. Because gis nañ ne yaayam sax fajoom ñun ñoo koo fay laajte nañ ñu fi benn 3 million and something dalasi de pour rek yóbbu yaayam lopitaan Sénégal su suñ lopitaan yi baaxoon ni ko noonu du doon yóbbu yaayam Sénégal lopitaan.
waaw ñu ne ñu ngi liggéey ci lopitaan yi am nañ docteur
waaw dinañ ñëw ci loolu. ok soo yow fi mu nekk office of the president this time ñu bugg a ñoo mbaamal ñu bugg a ñoo selmal ñu bugg a ñoo nax xam nga lu ñu def.
déedéet.
dañ ko divide office of the president office of the vice president xam nga loolu mooy selmal bu yomb.
te du daan demee noonu.
office of the president rek lañ daan def 1 billion and something. criticize nañ ko ñu ne fi mu nekk xaaral ñu selmal gars yi soo gisee office of the president as a budget line. léegi ñu def ko 700 and something million. xam nga mu ngi mel ni. to the unsuspecting eye. wàññi nañ ko. waaye ñu defal la office of the vice president. 300 and something million. so soo ko boolee it's still the presidency. soo ko boolee mu jox la over 1 billion. office of the vice president. Peter really ñaata staff lañ am. it's one of the smallest offices in government.
no actually they say NDMA fa la bokka. Population, whatever, Falaboka, social protection. I mean, they present it as a major office as well. You know.
Look, these are small units.
Oh, you call them units?
Yes, these are small units. Even the agencies, they are small. So they may send offices here. Nyata nit nga fa feka. Let's be honest. Xam nga am na ñoo xam ne all they do is dañ dee maquillage the truth. They come ñu ruuj ko fii ñu defar ko fële pour mu look presentable to the people.
ku nekk ak sa liggéey ñoom ku dem.
waaw am na ñoo xam ne loolooy seen liggéey. am na ñoo xam ne defar ko pour mu digestible to the people ndax people bi mun koo accept but yenn yi it reeks of filth, it reeks of odor.
So ci yoo daal dafa mel ni kii la daan dem ci office of the president.
benn tey moo faa dem soo ñu ñoo nax rek. ne wàññi nañ ko waaye fekk wàññi wuñ dara. la woon fa woon la rek. président bi lam daan am ba tey lu mel noonu laa am.
waaye ñoom dinañ wéy ne du président. la faa dem du président ko moom. la faa dem la président di jël di dundalee ñi nga xam ne ñoom ñooy liggéey foofu wax nañ la ñaata soldat a xam ne ñoom ñoo nekk foofu noonu ak all different agencies and all of that.
waaw waaye soldat yi seen añ wax dëgg neex yàlla nañ ko bàyyee soldat yi nag. ñu def ko comme nañ ko daan defee rek soldat yi seen añ. What's the difference of soldat yi nekk State House ak soldat yi nekk ci barracks yi? They are all soldiers of the government. te ñëpp dañ leen war a jox añ. so lu tax rek duñ ko def benn budget. so these are all games you government they play to make things look good for the people. make it acceptable.
ñun loolu lañ fi toogee. waaw government ñoo wax yéen ñi nga xam ne understand nga yéen ay seet noo leen uutoo gaay ci place bi. yéen nañu mun a wax ne ñu ñoo mbaamal fii ñu ñoo selmal fii ak yu demee noonu parce que yéen la doon seen liggéey tamit ngeen gestu ci ba am ci lu leen leer ngeen sañ a génn a wax.
xam nga gars yi dinañ ñëw ne Essa xamul li moo wax. The figures are here they're quite clear. Last year I think 1,235,000,000. This year 1,110,000. million.
Difference boobu foofu bariwul.
waaw
compared to yeneen drops yi ñu am ci yeneen sectors yi.
man li ma wax mooy ne. li ma criticize your government bi mooy ne. we have to get our priorities right. We also have to cut our coat according to our size. Because really, just look at the deductions in some of these sectors. It is shocking. Man, I will not trade health care of the people for debt repayment. I will not. Even so necessary, we reduce the debt that we take so that we can provide
Okay,
the health care that the people need.
That we can do. But the debt servicing has to be met.
But the debt servicing...
Otherwise, some of the grants that you expect might not flow in.
Yes, but the debt servicing is as a result of the self-infliction of the debt. If we did not take the debt, we would not have the debt servicing. So by taking the debt, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. That is.
If we didn't take the debt, how would we be enjoying the relatively steady electricity supply that we're enjoying now? We have to admit that. Nawek is not yet perfect, and we are warned that it will never be. But things have got a lot better.
I think it was Dr. Mane who sat here and told us that over $400 million was injected in. Look at what we have. Nawek, the day Nawek is properly and completely and forensically audited, Gambians will see the terrible malaise and the rotten underbelly of this government. I am telling you, Nawek is one of the terrible disasters in this country where conflict of interest reigns supreme. But look at what is happening. Are we enjoying any better services from Nawek? No. Man fima deka is like hor kamach. Hor kamach. Hor kamach. Rarely do we ever have electricity that is enough, because the fluctuation is so terrible that every time nga am appliances Nawek daf ko yaha. Xam nga, we concentrate on quantity instead of quality. So danga am quantity bo hamne yung ko tasare all over, and the quality is hardly there. And setal Nawek lu ñoo def ñu don't fail the debt that they owed. Just imagine. Xam nga ken musuta def the calculation. Charge bobu ñu dee def nga xam ne soo jëndee cash power, the moment nga dugal ko, about 30% of it is taken.
Oh, really?
Well, that used to happen. I don't know whether it happens still today. Man ko doon jéem a laajte. Mënuñ ma wax lu
But 30%, that's a whopping figure.
Yes. I don't know
That's
exactly.
nearly one-third of your purchase.
Wow, lolo don't help. I don't know whether it's happening still today. Man don't jéem a laajte, but mënuma am any correct information.
Well, much more dugalee dafa dem ba zero de. Te su fekkee ne,
why xam nga is yow doo mun a xam lu ci bari doo ko mun a xam, because it's the tariff. It's, dangaa dugal rek mu jox la di units, mu jox la di units bi nga soxla. Waaye ndax li ngaa jënda soo cegee di rate, okay, suñ ne $1 moo laa jox 1 unit of electricity. Understand? So jëndee $100, su la joxee 70 units, you don't.
You know that you're losing 30.
Well, exactly. Okay. So I really do not know whether they're still doing it.
I'm sure they're listening at Nawek. They have a weekly program here every Thursday. I'm sure they will clarify that bit of it.
Motax, I am being very careful in what I say. I don't know whether it is still happening, but I know for almost 2 years running, that was happening. All right. And Nawek was very transparent about it. But my issue is, hana bor bi nag war naa jeex.
Bori Nawek bi.
Su fekkee ne liñ waxoon ne li ma dégg ñuy wax ne moom lañ daan dok. Su fekkee ne loolu lañ daan dok over 2 years period. Hana nag bor bi war naa jeex. Because it may appear to me, I am not a chartered accountant, so I'm not a mathematician. Why su fekkee ne, let's say 20% of electricity purchases is a surcharge for the repayment of the debt that Nawek owes. Xanaa nag over 2 years. Xaalis boobu war naa bari de.
War naa jeex moom.
War naa jeex. So bon su fekkee ne loolu am na, bon xanaa fi mu nekk ñun war nañ suñ situation with Nawek war naa improve remarkably. Simply because ñun sacrifice nañ fayal Nawek, because it's like ñun nit ñi ñoo fayal Nawek seen bori. Okay, so Monday gisuma any remarkable improvement ci Nawek. Yes, def nañ yóbbu nañ electricity some places, and ci loolu sax nguur gi is playing politics with it. dégg naa am na place yoo xam ne mita yi fayuñ ko ngóor gaa leen defal mita dégg naa loolu I don't know how true it is dégg naa sax am na place yoo xam ne yóbbu nañ fa ndox dañ leen wax ne it would be free for 3 years su fekkee loolu dëgg la that is illegal.
Well managing director bi ñëw na ci programme bi adresse na loolu. parce que mu ne am na yenn areas yoo xam ne projects ñoo fa nekka dafa am ñoo xam ne dañ ñëw pour dimbale communities yooyu gox yooyu noonu ñu jënd seen meters yi soo ñëw dañoo ñëw rek ñu posel la. all right mu des nag ci yoon ndax am nga njëgi cash power amuloo njëgi cash power. mu am yenn areas yoo xam ne ñoom na wek ñoom ñoo fa yóbbu courant su boobaa nag foog nga jënda meter at subsidized charges. All right. But let me go to a break. I'll come back.